smashed my face off an outdoor pull-up bar the other day, and it still hurts.
Did you get fucking high and decide to cut your beard again? You idiot.
All right. Okay, we should jam sometime. We're back. We took a little bit of a break, given the fact that the world is a little bit on fire right now.
Yeah.
And it's a confusing time.
Mm-hmm.
And we just wanted to just take a beat and I think do our part. I think we probably both have a lot to say.
Yeah.
Do you wanna? You can start off.
Oh yeah. I mean, just to add on to that, I think we're not alone in that. A lot of artists and I'm not really sure about podcasters. Like I've said in the past, I don't listen to a ton of podcasts, but people have been kind of taking a break out of solidarity and taking time to reflect and read and learn just a bit about how we can make a change with everything that's been going on with the Black Lives Matter movement. The protest for Black Lives Matter London happened today, the day that we're recording this. And
yes.
And yeah, I mean, we've just kind of taken the break. I mean, the Blackout Tuesday was this past week, which was a good move. It started with the music industry, as you know, Caleb.
Yeah.
And it was a huge campaign. And I wound up hearing that it was actually kind of counterproductive because it blocked out a lot of information for people.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I wanted to just to touch on that real quick because when I first saw that going around and everything, I didn't do much research into it as I should have, but I legitimately was like, okay, this is a day where basically we're not self-promoting. We're not, the people that don't need to be talking just need to be listening that day.
Right.
And when I woke up on Tuesday and just saw a million black squares,
that's when it clued in.
I was like, this is what this is. This is what we're doing. I don't see how this makes much sense. And then I went to work all day, and then I came home and then saw all this maybe we shouldn't be doing that.
As soon as you saw it in action, I thought the same thing. We're effectively censoring all this information that people have been helping out with. There was another person that made a post that said, yesterday on my feed, it was all examples of the injustices going on, articles on educating people of the wrongdoings that have been happening for years and years and years now, for centuries, all of this information that was very useful for people, and information towards protests as well. And now it was just all black squares with the hashtag Black Lives Matter, and it wound up drowning out all of these useful messages.
Absolutely.
And I mean, I participated as well, because I'm part, it started with the music industry, and then it wound up becoming just a thing for everybody. Yeah. And it wound up kind of biting us in the ass in the end.
And I mean, it's one of those things where it's at its core, it was a good thing. It was maybe just, it wasn't executed as properly as it probably could have been. Yeah. And I mean, that's another thing. I've been, I was talking to Steve DeCantis this week. He was posting a lot of stuff online, and I wasn't that vocal, really at all. I think I shared a couple things on my story.
Right.
But I was doing my part, and we were kind of talking before this, and doing my part in terms of educating myself. But we were talking before this about how it's kind of a weird, scary time too, because both of us have been reading a lot, and looking into donations and petitions and stuff like that. Yeah. And this weird thing kind of happens where it's there's still kind of some shame that floats around of if you're not sharing enough on your story, people don't think you're doing anything, which I think it's important to know that the whole silence is complacency thing, which I agree with, but I think being silent but I'm reading and I'm listening and stuff like that.
You are still doing a part.
You're still doing your thing.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is times like these are it's kind of a privileged thing to say, I guess, but it's still scary because you're I want to help. But I also realized this past week of man, I just haven't been doing my part in terms of, I've seen these videos for years, as we all have, and it's frustrating.
Yeah.
But then it gets drowned out by other things, and then your own life happens, and you kind of just forget about it. And I think it's time to actively remember and educate yourself. And I've been learning stuff I probably should have known a long time ago this week, and just been like, motherfucker, like I didn't know this, or I didn't know this to that extent, like it's very easy to just not educate yourself. And
it's really easy.
I think it's okay not to say something if you genuinely don't have the information, but it's up to you to go and get that information.
I've always been at, like, you've heard it from me before, where I've always been like, try not to be super political as a musician. In my spot, it's always because I don't know enough. But it's really this past week and everything that's been happening with, use your platform. It means that, like, don't not post anything because you don't know enough. Fucking learn it. Look into it and then spread the message. Because we've all been developing these platforms where we want people to hear us, and now is the time to be fucking spreading the message more than anything. But I don't know.
No, of course.
Using your platform.
And it's been awesome seeing bands that aren't even like huge but still have a bit of a following. That have been doing their part, and that's really inspiring.
Yeah.
And I've been thinking about that too. I'm like, okay, I got this podcast that doesn't have a huge following, and I have this band that doesn't have a huge following, but I still care. And like, how can I use that? And I've kind of been waiting to do this podcast episode to be like, I can't. The thing that can be scary about doing stuff in written form on, especially on Facebook, is that stuff can be kind of taken out of context, or you can't fully explain yourself.
Yeah, definitely.
And I get to actually use my voice when we're doing something like this. And I could still say something stupid, but
I always wind up just you'll wind up typing out so much, and then you'll delete it because you think it's stupid or whatever. It's like when you're speaking, it's just a little easier. There's no backspace.
Yeah.
You just you just say what you're feeling, and But,
well, and like I've been thinking a lot this week about where I grew up and everything, which I know is like at this point it's probably kind of like a meme of where I grew up because it like comes up every episode. But I was thinking about it in terms of just like, man, like of course I don't know about any of this shit. Like I grew up in this small town that is not close to any city. Like it's not like a St. Thomas situation where it's like it's a small town, but like London's right there. There's nothing close, and it's exclusively or basically exclusively folks. Like an all white area.
Yeah.
It's a more conservative area, but it's like of course most people that grow up in that situation don't know about like racial issues and stuff, and I was kind of equating it almost. I know it's not the same thing, but just if you think back to when coronavirus was starting, who the fuck took that seriously over here? Nobody, because it was on the other side of the world. And honestly, growing up in towns like that, stuff that's happening in the States might as well be on the other side of the world, because it's nothing close to it, man. Like every police officer that I've have a personal connection with in Meaford, like there's multiple officers that either like I'm good friends with their kids or whatever, that like we're on like a nickname basis, not even like a first name basis.
Right.
Like those are my experiences with police officers, and that's again most people's experience with people that I've grown up. That's their experience. So then when they see all this shit going on around the world, it's really easy to just disassociate with that and be like, oh, there's no way it could be that bad. What do you mean?
Right.
Meaford shuts down at 7:30, so I don't understand like why they're breaking windows and stuff. Like, go home. And it's like, well, it's very different. It's very different than the world And it's just, and I think that's why it's important to have these conversations and not. I've seen less of it this past week in terms of arguing online.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of discussion. I've seen more understand. Man, you have to if you and I disagree on something like politically or whatever, even musically, like we're gonna have a conversation about it because we're friends.
Yeah,
and I think it's important to approach. I mean, some people are just being fucking assholes because they just want to be assholes, but it's important to understand like some people are ignorant, and it's not coming from a place of like hate. It's just coming from a place of like the context in which they grew up, and they're not. It's not impossible
educated.
to and they're not take the time and be like, hey man, like I saw you say this thing, like why do you believe that?
Yeah.
And they might not necessarily have a reason for why they believe that. It's important to have a discussion, because now, we're trying to get more people on the side of what's right, and when you're yelling and screaming your point, even though you could be right, people don't want to. That's not how you enlighten individuals.
No, they're getting all irrational and everything.
Yeah, so I don't know. I know I just went on like a huge rant there, but I've been thinking about this.
No,
all
that's
week.
okay. I was just gonna say to put a pin in it all. Like, yeah, so many people just don't even think that racism occurs in Canada. And I mean,
yeah, that's wild.
There's so much that can be said with that statement, but to just kind of wrap it, just for the sake, because we have an actual topic that we wanted to pursue for the episode. But racism happens here, and it needs to be dealt with. It needs to end. It needs to stop. And there's systemic racism, police brutality, all that shit happens here in Canada. And something needs to be done about it. And today, the demonstration in Vic Park was incredible. Like I saw aerial shots of London brought it today, which is amazing. But we need to keep doing it, because it's not one march doesn't solve everything. But it all helps. And to sum it all up, we stand with the movement that's happening here and all over the world, and we hope that we can truly make a difference.
Of course, and the thing too is like don't let the media kind of bury this in a couple weeks.
No.
I've like I said, I've done a lot of reading this week, and I have a lot more to read and to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's the thing. I don't think you need to feel obligated to say something online, but you should feel obligated just to be educated and to do your part.
100%.
And when voting time comes around, man, you got to do that shit. And talk to people. Educate yourself and talk to people. And if you don't know something, fucking ask somebody. And let's stop screaming at each other online. And let's stop telling people that they're fucking idiots. And let's just try to talk to everybody.
For
sure.
Everybody love everybody. God damn it.
Everybody love everybody. Yeah. And it's not that easy, but we're working on it. And I think
that's the most important thing.
It feels positive, and it feels a little bit different this time around. And honestly, I think if anything, there's a weird silver lining to being fucking quarantined for the last couple months has been the fact that people are that much more irritable. And people are that much more ready to go. And I think that a lot of that energy has been focused into something positive. So
yeah, I've been seeing a lot more compassion as well as a result, I think. Like when people can actually come together, they're like thankful to be in the presence of other people and to be
and we've been saying for weeks, like, I just want to hug my friends again and hang out. And this is, we still can't really do that, but this is another way to come together, and it's fighting for just the greater good.
Yeah, hell yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. That's probably all two white dudes can say about that.
Yeah, and I mean, at the same time, we aren't gonna stop talking about it either. We're gonna keep spreading the word and trying to educate ourselves and try to educate others, and that's all we can really do. And we hope that everyone that listens to the podcast can kind of learn and grow.
For sure. And if you can, go, I think Craig and I both have a link in our bios, on like our personal bios. Some information
to donate
that I found helpful. If you can donate, even if it's a little bit, do your research. There's lots of different things. You don't have to donate to everything. Do your research on where you'd like your money to go.
Yeah.
And donate if you can. Sign petitions. Again, do your research. You're not you're not obligated to do anything, but do your research and do what you feel is right, best, whatever.
Every bit helps.
There's lots of ways to help.
100%.
So, in saying that, what are we going to transition to? Musically.
Yeah, we're gonna continue on with one of our regular musical kind of themes for discussion. I was thinking about it for the past week and a half, before all of this went down and before we decided to take a break. But we've kind of touched on it a little bit in several other things. But projects, I guess, as a whole, but having multiple projects and diversifying your projects as a musician, because I know you and I have very different we've got different kind of histories with having multiple projects, and we've all kind of seen a lot of different examples of it. Where I've always been, I've been the musician for hire. I've done session stuff. I've been touring. I've been the touring member before, and then I've also had multiple bands at a time. And my opinion on whether or not that's a good thing differs sometimes, but I've always done it.
Yeah.
And then there's other musicians that only pursue one project, like very wholeheartedly, and that winds up paying off for them really well too. But yeah, like what do you think is like the best way to pursue a project? Do you think it's good to kind of have like a ton going on at the same time, or to just kind of like go into one thing as hard as you possibly can?
I think, I only have experience really in pursuing like the one project. I think that everybody's I guess it depends what your mentality is. I've had friends and band members that I know were in multiple bands that were just even, I might say initially, I don't want to speak for anybody, but initially we're like, well, fucking, I'm in 3 bands, so one of them's bound to work. But then they necessarily aren't putting in the work to like help them do the thing. And I think if that's the case, it's like, well, what the fuck what are you doing then? But I think that like, I mean, you could speak to it more. I would think like in the case of you're usually doing different stuff in every project that you work on. And I think that kind of satiates your musical needs. For me personally, I like writing songs and fronting a band, and then I kind of like the whole marketing idea. I kind of like to take control in a sense, and so like I get everything is sort of handled in Lost Arts, and then I can like kind of fuck off and do some like acoustic stuff or whatever by myself. But I'm like pretty like fully satiated with Lost Arts, where I think like other people, you could say like Drake, for example, drums in like a hard rock band or whatever, and then he drums in a pop band, which is they're two totally different projects
for sure.
So he gets to kind of explore those avenues.
Yeah, and I've always pursued multiple musical projects at the same time, and yeah, you're right, they're usually very different styles of music and stuff like that too. And usually I'll be, I'll play bass in one thing and then I'm singing in another thing or whatever. But I've even just recently I've kind of been doing it more, but like pursuing not even like multiple musical things at the same time, but also like, I mean, I've diversified into this podcast thing, which I've been really enjoying. And then also like learning new instruments. I've been like trying to learn piano and shit. Yeah. So I think having multiple projects as an artist is like a really good thing to do. But like I said, I like my opinion on whether or not like having a ton of different musical like different bands, active bands at the same time, I always think that it's like a bit counterproductive because you have like your hand in so many little things. And you can't really focus on one wholeheartedly if you're doing that. But at the same time,
that's what I've always wondered with. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh no, at the same time, I like focusing on so many genres at the same time because I think it really helps with my musicianship and with other people's musicianship to pursue so many different genres and styles of music. Right.
Well, I was just gonna say too, like I'm like not trying to call out my band, like all of my band members are in other bands.
Right.
But there's definitely been times where it's like, what are we doing? Because like we got plans, and I know although like, and they're all in other bands that we kind of all have a similar end goal, and that can get frustrating because it's like, well, we all have a similar end goal, and I want all of us to succeed, but now we all have kind of the same band members that are all sort of spread thin and have scheduling. Like 3 band practices to navigate a week. And then on top of that, it's like, multiple bands that all are going to the studio, So for me, for studio time, it's like, all right, it's going to be X amount of dollars, where like for Drake, it's like, all right, well, like X amount of dollars for Lost Arts, and then like, okay, well, Dime's also going to the studio too, so it's gonna be the same. It's gonna be this much money for Dime stuff, and then we got artwork, and that always makes me nervous of like financially, you got to cover that shit too, because it's not like this is my main band, and then I fucking play in this like punk rock band, but we don't really do shows, and we're just kind of fucking around and whatever. It's a way to like blow off a Thursday night. Then it's got to be tough, kind of being in 2 projects or multiple projects, and the goal for all of them is like, yo, we want to fucking make money.
We want to blow up and then act like we don't know nobody, you know?
Yeah, we want to fucking play at Coachella in a couple years.
Yeah,
so like, and it's like, holy fuck, like, it's stressful. And I think what happens is it's like, hey, like I'm doing a lot of the booking and I'm doing a lot of this and I'm doing a lot, like, can somebody help? And it's like, well, I want to help, but also like I'm doing this thing in this band. And
right.
It's like, right. So
yeah, like all of those
doing?
projects for me, it's always either been like determined early on or like at the very beginning that like the higher ones, it's always like, yeah, I'm learning the songs for this gig or whatever.
Yeah.
Or where you start a band for shits and it's like, hey, I am the bass player for Heart Attack Kids. So yeah, I'll play in this and we're going to write some stuff. We're going to fuck around. But I mean, as soon as tour time comes, like I'm not fucking going out of my way to play 765 with you guys, that kind of thing. And, and I've been doing that lately because I mean, I've been pursuing solo stuff, which like dedicating time. That's been one dilemma for me and Heart Attack Kids, where I'm like, oh shit, I gotta get these demos done, but then like also I'm like writing and recording my own music, so like scheduling is always something that you got to keep in mind when you're doing this multiple projects thing. But for the most part, in my experience of like playing in a lot of different acts, it's pretty easy to manage your scheduling as long as you do know that you have one main thing. So it's like you kind of have to compromise where I think you do need to have a main thing and like know that you're gonna, if all else fails, you have to be dedicated to dropping everything to do one. You got to be able to pick one. But
that's what I always feel weird. And like I also want to say, like, I just kind of had this whole thing where I kind of shit on my band. I'd like to switch and say a positive thing first before I go to this other thing. Is that like when it's time to do Lost Art stuff, everybody always shows up and we get stuff done.
Right. And that's all that matters.
Getting stuff done behind the scenes sometimes, like in this whole quarantine thing, has proven to like not be as successful, myself included. But when it's we get together, like shit gets done and there are ideas. So it's not necessarily like there's not even ideas floating around. Like when we're together, it's fucking good. It's just the fact that there's other bands going on. But that's the other thing is like, I feel like I'm in this weird competition with my friend. Like, so, and also for people that don't know, like Lost Arts, Dime, Anella and the Early Hours, and Cake Face all respectively share members.
Right,
and
which is crazy.
Like everybody has, actually, I guess like now that like Hayden doesn't play in Cake Face anymore, but it used to be like Anella had a bass player from 2 bands, and then Alex Indrick plays in Dimes and Anella, and then Drake plays in Lost Arts and Dime, and Nick plays in Lost Arts and Cake Face, and it's this weird revolving thing.
Crazy.
And we all want each other to be successful, but then it's also this weird thing of like, well, who's gonna go where? Like if shit, like if
when
everybody had to get exclusive.
When are we gonna be able to go on tour for 2 weeks at a time?
That's the thing, and that's the other thing is like all the bands started around the same time, and all the bands have been progressing at relatively the same pace. And so that's where like tour, like let's try to like do, and it's like this race to the studio. And I could be totally wrong, and all those guys could be listening to this thing being like, "Fuck Caleb."
Completely wrong. Yeah, incorrect.
But I think there's a little like I don't even think that way in like this like aggressive way, but it is kind of just something that's always in the back of my mind. Is like,
and I've had that feeling before where it's like I've been. Then again, I've always made it established like I've got a main thing. Like when I had 3 bands at a time that I was an original member in, was when I was with Radio Caroline, and I was in Death Sentence and Over Flowers at the same time. And I just told both of them, I was like, listen, Radio Caroline's my main thing. If we book a tour, I'm going. Or if I have studio time with them, I'm going. And like I'm gonna invest money in Radio Caroline first. That's just how it is. Yeah. But like you kind of have to be prepared to cut the cord. Sometimes I think like you got to be able to pick one like that. if that just in terms of touring, because I mean, Heart Attack Kids, we made that we had that discussion once where it was, we always have to account for the fact that we're gonna have a tour schedule, and we need to be available, and this has got to be like, we got to be pushing the online campaigns and blah blah blah. So like, you gotta, I think you do have to have a main thing, but having multiple projects has been great for me. And for actually one specific example I was thinking of was Serena. Whenever I play with her, like, she has probably 2 or 3 bass players that she'll get if someone else is unavailable, right? And like, she's got a bunch of guitar players and a couple drummers, but all of the members that play with Serena are in several other bands, right? Like, I mean, Mark Swan is our drummer, and that guy's in like 20 bands. Like, it's crazy. And then Josh Try, he plays guitar for several projects, I'm pretty sure, too. He's the main thing for him is Five Oceans. And yeah, I mean, with the solo artist, it's so easy, but I mean, it helps as a solo artist, I think, to have those people that play in multiple bands, because you're like, oh, well, I can definitely just ask Mark to play drums, or, oh, well, I can definitely just call Craig. He'll probably play bass for like that one song or whatever, right? So God save the multiple projects people.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. I like, Nick's like come to me before and been like, I don't pick one band over the other or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, I don't necessarily think that you do. It's just it also sucks. And I think that I think all of those other bands would say that too. Of like, it does suck to share members, because again, like, you kind of have like the core member in all of those bands that's doing like a majority of the heavy lifting, because everybody else is also doing like multiple projects or whatever. Yeah. It's definitely frustrating, but it coming from somebody that's like the guy that doesn't have multiple projects. But I also appreciate, like, musically, you have to kind of dip your toe in everything if you feel the need to do that. I think for me, it's like, I don't need multiple projects, because in Lost Arts I'm doing the thing that I want to do. Like, I don't have the desire to like also play guitar in a band, and I don't feel the need to like go sing in another band, because like, my voice is well documented in Lost Arts. Like, everything, essentially the voice of that band are my thoughts and experiences. Yeah. So I don't need like another project to be like, well, I feel like my voice isn't being heard. Like, my voice is being heard.
You're getting the fulfillment that you need with the one act.
Yeah, it's not like, and I think that's the thing too, is like, Nick just wants to fucking play guitar, and it's like, he gets to play, I think, a little heavier in Cake Face, and that's like maybe a little more nuanced in Lost Arts or whatever, but yeah, I get it.
I like being able to wear multiple.
I don't love it, but I get it.
Yeah, I understand. I like to wear multiple hats. So, I mean, like, I like being in multiple bands where I get to be like the country bass player, and then I get to be like the fucking Axl Rose asshole in another band. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I've been thinking this whole time too, like, my other project, I guess, is this, like, doing the podcast is another thing that I like put focus and energy into.
I've been particularly really like enjoying that.
Yeah, it's like it's another avenue, and I was talking about music. I love talking about music. It's talking about, and then it also relates back to like, how can I make my band better? They kind of go hand in hand in a way, and getting information from other people or whatever, other tactics. So I guess that's another way. I just like to talk, basically, and sometimes it's in the form of singing, and it's in the form of rambling into a microphone.
Yeah, gotta use your voice, my guy.
Yeah.
I've been just to broaden the topic of multiple projects, especially with this quarantine. I've been like thinking, like, what other kind of like avenues could I take, because I mean, I also I was just kind of sitting on my porch the other day, and I've got the art bank like right by my place, and I was just kind of looking at the art bank, and I was like, man, I should start like painting. That'd be kind of fun, I mean, like, the podcast was like right when the quarantine started. I bought a microphone and a camera, and I was like, I'm gonna be a YouTuber, and and yeah, it's kind of like an extension of that. I was like, I could try painting, or like, and then I was like, oh, let's learn. Now I should learn how to play piano. So I got piano, and like, having multiple projects is super healthy, man. Like, you can kind of, you can get a taste of everything and see what you like best.
Yeah, for sure. And like that's the other thing. Like I always tell people that I'm like, you should be doing, because I think like it's easy to still get complacent like in the thing that you're doing. You know, it's like get out of your comfort zone a little bit. Like fucking, if you're gonna play guitar today, learn a different song. Like learn a different genre. Learn something that you've never fucking played before.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that's like you can get kind of trapped in the same old shit.
Yeah.
And it's like you can kind of constantly rediscover your instrument or, you know, move on to something else. Because that's the other thing, too. It's like, how cool would it be to get back into like into rehearsing or whatever? And it's like, hey, I fucking was starting to fuck around with synths and like, I feel like I could bring this to the band.
Yeah, totally.
Like, oh, all right. Okay.
Totally.
Cool. Let's do that.
I'm excited to be done with the quarantine and like, I think I've been coming along pretty quickly, but I really like the idea of like coming back from this and like if shows come back, I could like come back with like a solo show and be like, hey, I'm a fucking piano man now. What up?
Yeah.
You know, I want that like Paul McCartney Hey Jude shot where I'm just like looking right directly in the camera and like I definitely want that. I'm looking forward to it. I think I'm well on my way. But and I mean that's what pursuing other projects means. You can get fulfillment in other ways that you otherwise wouldn't have.
Yeah, you just gotta kind of always be challenging yourself, and I think like, and that's the thing. Like through this whole podcast is like totally amplified the way I've looked at marketing the band. You know, and I think I've been looking at some people, I'm not going to call anybody out directly because it's not meant to necessarily be like a negative thing, but people just being like, Beyonceing songs and being like, yeah, we're putting this out like tomorrow. And you're like, what? What are you talking about?
I know. I've seen that too.
What do you mean? There's been a couple local bands doing it. And I'm like, oh, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And the thing is, man, is they're great bands and the songs are great. And I'm like, you did nothing? You didn't talk to a PR guy? You did campaign. No promo leading up to this? Like, what are you doing?
It's like they got too excited or something.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm like, why, dude? There's a band a couple weeks ago that they're fucking great dudes, and they're a really great local band. And they've done it like the past couple singles of just like, this comes out in a couple days. And I'm like, why aren't you promoting it? You guys are like, I don't know. And it just blows my mind. And I just think back because like I put so much thought into what we were doing and we did like so much work into promo, and I think it paid off as well as it could have paid off in the moment. And it's fun. And it like just adds that like extra bit of personality to the thing that you're doing.
Right.
And I'm like, why are you just dropping songs like you're fucking Jay-Z?
I
like,
know, yeah. It just makes me feel like they're kind of shooting themselves in the foot where it's almost like what we were talking about last time with like if a local artist were to like exclusively put their music out on Spotify or something, it's like it feels like you're almost like intentionally limiting your market here, where like just less people are gonna know that your shit's coming out, and then you're just gonna be like, here's my new song, and like only half the people that would have otherwise seen it have seen it, and then the next day it's not a new song anymore, and it's like, hey, we put out a song yesterday, and people are like, oh, what the hell? Like, it just...
whatever, man.
It seems counterproductive, yeah.
I always think, too, like, if, like, people can go back, somebody discovers us in fucking a couple months, like, there's still some fun shit that they can go back and look at on our social media. That's not even, like, that far back. And it's like that, because if somebody hears the song and they're like, who the fuck is this? And they, like, do a little bit of research, now they have some fucking stupid videos to watch that will either turn them off and be like, fuck these guys, they're not funny, or they'll be like, oh, these guys are fucking like weird, I'm into it.
Yeah.
And you should definitely, like, I don't know, just like, hey, we're putting a song out, like, what are you doing? Come on.
Yeah, I know.
I know that's off topic, but it
seems kind of lazy
about that lately too. Almost. Yeah, it's just like, come on, man. Especially when it's a good band. I mean, you see bands doing that like need some work, and it's like, all right, well, whatever. But when bands are like legitimately just like are fucking good, it's like, come on, guys.
Yeah, and they just toss it out.
Because it's frustrating because it's like my band doesn't even get that many plays, and we fucking put the work in. And it's like, you guys could be getting way more plays than this, and you're just not putting in the effort.
Right. Yeah, I love how you put that, where it's like they're Beyonceing it. It's just like, you're not like, if you were super famous and you know your platform's gonna hit like 1 billion people and they're all gonna share it and like tell all their fucking, they're gonna tell their dog about it. You can just kind of be like, here's a song, and people are like, oh, they're just gonna eat it up. But for us, it's like there's a whole campaign. You got to like tell people it's coming out, and then you got to like sponsor an ad, come up with a ton of things so you can put out fresh content with the same thing and really push it. And yeah, when these local artists just like, here's a song, it's like you just like pissed away a recording where like it's like no one's gonna even see it because you just didn't do enough of a campaign. Yeah, I always feel like it's like a lazy move when people do that. Hot take.
And man, I can't wait to get to the day where we can just fucking drop a thing.
I know, right?
Like, wait, what?
Don't have to worry about fucking having like 1 million photos and like a little video clips and shit.
Yeah.
Fuck that.
But I don't know. I fucking love promo stuff, man. It's a part of it. I know this comes up like every episode, but it's like, it's part of why I love Queens of the Stone Age, because their promos are always fucking great. They're always spot on. Yeah. And that's a band that could just be like, here, we put out some shit, like fucking listen to it. And I'd be like, okay, yeah.
You'd be the first
for sure,
one.
listen to it.
Yeah.
But it's like, when they put out, that's like, they put out these hilarious videos or just really like artistic, creative videos or whatever. It's like, fuck yeah, man. Like, now I'm stoked about this thing even more.
Yeah. Queens of the Stone Age have released a new video. Caleb Thompson likes this.
I actually saw it today, and I was weary about sharing it, and I haven't shared it, but apparently it's the 20th anniversary of Rated R, which is a great album.
Nice.
And it's just the Lost Arts account has been quiet, and I'm always like, should I didn't really say anything. Should I post this thing on our story?
Yeah.
So, I mean, whatever. Anyway, that's not exciting content.
Yeah.
But I know we deviated a little bit from the original topic, but I don't know. My I love that my friends have multiple projects, but it's definitely frustrating as like a band leader, I guess. With quotations, a band leader. It can be frustrating sometimes.
Totally, yeah. When you've got a main project, and especially for scheduling, right? And
oh yeah, shows are the pain in the ass.
Yeah, 100%. And
which has come up a couple of times, man. Like, well, I know like when we opened for Royal Tusk, like Cakeface had a show the same day, but we made that work. Nick played with us, and I think Cakeface just did like a 3-piece thing, but yeah, I mean, there was one time where Dime got a really good show offer and Lost Arts had a gig, and I was like, well, we have a gig, but it was pretty far out, and I was like, what, like, don't worry about it, like, just fucking do the show, like, that show is way bigger and you guys should do it. And then they like lost the show opportunity, and I felt like, which it sounded like it actually wasn't my fault, but it felt like it was my fault at the start. But I texted Cam, and I was like, I'm so sorry, because at the start I was like hesitant. I was like, well, like, fuck, man, like, we've had this show booked for a while, and then like 5 minutes went by, and I was like, no, that's not right. Like, this Dime show is bigger, and so I texted Drake, and I was like, do the fucking like, of course, do the gig.
Right. Yeah.
And then Drake texted me at the end of the day. He's like, yeah, we didn't get the show, but apparently Cam was like, didn't text the guy back right away, and then he texted him back like later, and the guy was like, oh yeah, we actually got these other bands, but what happened was they asked like a bunch of bands like at the same time, I guess.
Yeah, it was like a round
robin.
Cam
was like, well, I thought when you fucking offered me the show, like, you were offering us the show, like, I didn't realize that I had like 45 seconds to get back to you.
Yeah, for real, it was a race against time or some shit.
Yeah, so we like kind of made a deal after that where I was like, if we get a big show offer, like, just fucking say yes, and we'll figure out the band member situation afterwards. Because it's like, we were playing at like Harmony Lunch in Waterloo, and I was like, and this was like a music hall show,
right?
And I was like, how selfish of me to be
pretty
like,
big difference.
Actually, we're playing in this sandwich shop, so no, sorry. Because I know if the roles were reversed, I'd be like, fuck off, like, no, we're taking our drummer. So I was like, definitely just those shows that have like higher, that are bigger like that, take them.
Yeah, gotta pick your
And just
battles on
wait
that
for-
one.
and
But
wait
also,
for-
I mean,
especially,
yeah,
like,
the
the
tours
show is
too.
months out.
Yeah. And,
You know, so
and tours
Yeah.
too, right? If it was like you're sharing a member and it's like, we've got this gig that we got to play. It's like, dude, I've got like a fucking month-long tour I'm being offered here, all right? And like, it's in the middle of the tour. It's like, I'm not picking one show over an entire tour. It's just not going to happen.
yeah, well, for sure. Yeah, I know that's the thing, and it's a weird situation because everybody's working and stuff, and then you get these like. That's the other thing is you gotta try to like have a job where you can kind of you're able to sort of fuck off and do the things that you want to do. But yeah, we haven't run into that yet. We're still working on getting the audience so we can do like actual tours.
Yeah, I feel
But
that.
that'll pose other issues, I think, when the time comes. But it does feel like I'm in this race kind of with my friends, and I want us all to win. But
yeah, for sure.
it'd be easier if we all shared the same, or if we all played the same genre and we could just fucking tour.
Yeah, why don't we
together.
all just be in one huge London band? Just every musician in London, just be in a band together, and then problem solved, guys.
I mean, Anella and I always joke about just touring together, which would just be fucking so fun. But we do play. We played a couple like cross genre shows before, but God, like I don't know.
Yeah. Wouldn't it be nice, if you guys were all in the same genre and it was like Lost Arts, Cakeface, Dime, and Anella in the early hours all went on tour together forever.
Which is a hilarious lineup. That lineup's so funny.
We're making it happen.
But
Lost Arts,
You know what?
Cakeface, Dime, Anella in the early hours, 4-way headline.
You know what,
Fall
though, you could,
2021.
You could like it. You can transition that lineup though. Like you either
For sure
start.
you could.
You either start with Dime or you start with Cakeface, but you go like Dime, Anella, Lost Arts, Cakeface.
Yeah, that'd
or,
be
like,
sick.
Cakeface, Lost Arts.
We're
Anella.
making this tour happen.
Just because like it goes basically from like easiest listen to like
heaviest, yeah.
loudest or whatever.
Yeah.
But,
Dude,
yeah.
I'll jump on that tour. I'll play some solo tunes. We'll go full ballad rock at the end.
You can open with we'll close with just one guy and a piano.
Yeah, I'm fucking in, dude. I'm ready for my fucking Elton John close up.
Oh yeah, man, I can't wait for that. You got to do like a whole album now.
Yeah, 100%.
Man.
It's I've actually been debating that. This isn't a stay tuned post, I swear, but I've been debating doing a whole kind of Piano Man album, and I would love to do that.
Oh, dude. So stay tuned. Post just coming up with it now. We're gonna write a Lost Arts ballad, and then like you'll play piano on the song.
Yeah, man.
Dude, I can't wait for it. I keep telling Nick that, where he's like, "We got to do an album," and I'm like, "Only if there's a fucking '70s ballad on it, though."
Yeah.
Only way I'm doing an album is if track 7 is a fucking ballad. That's the only way I'm doing it.
Yes, I'm shipping a Lost Arts ballad right now.
Only way I'm doing it, it's got to be 11 songs, and track 7 has to be a ballad.
What album are you got to be making like a direct album joke right now? What album has track 7?
I don't even
as a
know.
ballad?
I have no idea.
Is
Dude,
that like a rule of
literally,
thumb? Can you
hey,
imagine?
Any Kiss album, any album by Warrant or
Track 7 is
those
a ballad.
bands.
I would
Dude.
love if that was like a well-kept secret in the music industry where it's like, yeah, any full-length album, if you go to track 9, there's definitely going to be a fucking theremin on it. Or like some shit like that, or like track 5 on every album is forever a ballad.
I'm just trying to think like where Beth lands on Destroyer.
I want to find out too, because that's exactly what I was thinking of. Is it track 7?
I'm pretty just
Shut up.
It is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's 8. Fuck.
All right.
Fuck.
That
'Cause
would
I
have
thought
been
Destroyer-
the funniest shit.
I thought Destroyer had 9 songs, and I was counting from the bottom, and I was like, motherfucker, it's 7. Damn it! I should have lied.
that's so
I should have
sad.
lied. Nobody would have fact checked me.
No
Should've
one would have
lied.
fact checked us. That would have been funny.
Damn it! Maybe that was like a deluxe. It could have been a deluxe version. So
Yeah,
maybe
we're saying, you know
maybe
what?
I'm
Beth is. What's one song on there that sucks? We can just delete it from that album. Probably
Dude,
none of them
fucking-
because it's Kiss. They're all good.
You know what is funny though? If you go to the album, and you might also like is a Spotify playlist called Power Ballads. So
Sick. Yeah, it's because Beth is on there. Yeah.
Wait, yeah. What you know? What's on here? The
Beth.
7th song from any album from fucking.
A collection of 7th songs.
Oh man, that's so funny, dude.
Every
I'm trying to
ballad is
see
track
what's-
7. That's so funny.
Oh man, there's a fucking like classic ballad. I always escapes me, but my dad listens to fucking that Sirius XM channel, fucking like the hair metal one.
Yeah, man.
Hair Nation.
Oh my god.
Oh fuck! And there's a song on there. It's not on this playlist. And my mom, every time it comes on, she's like, "You should learn this song."
That's so funny.
I'm gonna remember it like as soon as we fucking stop this podcast.
Perfect.
But it's gonna bother me. That's gonna bug me. But I'll figure it out. But it's so funny, and it's just like the most classic fucking like 70s rock ballad of all time.
Yeah, I'm trying to escape the pattern of only learning ballads on the piano right now. Cause like I went over to my family's place the other day. Like I was seeing all my extended family and everything too, and they were like, play us a song on the piano, and I played a Bob Dylan song, which was a ballad. And then they were like, play one of your songs, and I was just like, are you sure? Because they're kind of sad, and so I played it. And yeah, like one of my family members got like all emotional listening to it, and I'm like, "Fuck!" I was like, I can't even save this by like playing another song that's happier because all of my other songs are like fucking sad ballad songs. Yeah. Like fuck, I gotta learn some like fucking honky tonk, like genuine, just fucking upbeat. I gotta learn like Obla Di Bla Da.
Right.
Fuck. Or Obla Di Obla Da. I'm not a newbie on the piano stuff.
Always feel about like playing songs for like family members or whatever. They're like, just play one of yours. And my mom's like, I like that because I heard the words. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't want you to hear the words.
Yeah,
I don't want you to hear the words. You'll commit me if you hear the words. That
makes me think of that meme where it was like, I want to die. I want to fucking die. I'm so sad. And then it's like me, like a white folk punk idiot. It's like, this is good. This is really good. Oh fuck.
Oh my god.
I've had that before too. Play one of your songs. I'm like, they're all like, I'm so sad. I am so fucking sad.
Yeah. And then you're like, yeah, some of the words in here, I don't think
like, by the way, I'm totally fine, guys. I'm actually totally all right. This is just the songs that I'm writing.
I know there was a lyric in there that literally said I'm not okay, but I'm totally good.
But I am. Everything's good. Right now we're fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
I was feeling emotional when I wrote those, when I penned the lyrics. Yeah, that's hilarious, man.
Yeah. Anyway, we're getting to that point. We can probably wrap her up. But
for sure.
We want to hear from you guys though. Do you guys we're going to do a poll here. Do you guys have multiple bands or are you dedicated to one? We want to hear from you.
Yeah, and if you're like me and you just have the one band and then your band members are in all of the bands, do you hate all of your band members and all of the other bands that
I've definitely made the argument on both sides where I'm like you should probably just have one thing where you can just put your whole self into it, and then also it's like, man, fuck doing just one thing forever. This thing, like, you should try it all out and see what you like best.
Yeah, exactly. So like, it's really cool that like Lost Arts is a main project for everybody because ultimately that band was created first. So like, it's cool that all of those guys have other side projects, and all those bands are side projects and not like main projects.
Right.
So thanks for listening. Just kidding. I love all my friends, and I'll fucking see you in the finish line, motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for listening. Go and donate and do your fucking research because we're not done. We're not done with this motherfucking protest, and we're gonna somehow, some way, we're gonna change the world, and it starts with everybody individually. So, I'd like to thank everybody for listening to We Should Jam Sometime, and we're fucking back. We still got some podcasts that have just been itching to be released, but we took a breath out of just solidarity for some other shit that's going on. But we're gonna be releasing those in the days to follow. So we'll fucking talk to everybody soon. I love you. Be kind to your friends and your neighbors. And we'll talk to you next week.
Talk to you soon, guys.